to have you here. So I'm Dr. Warren. I'm a local leader for the Founders Institute in Hong Kong. And I am so excited to show you, because I get the honor to share with you some of the automations that we're doing. This is the fourth in our business admin automation. The first was leadership. The second was marketing. Third was operations. And then fourth now is finance. And in the finance, what we're doing is looking at making it easier for a small business owner, like a solopreneur or a startup founder, to automate finance as much as possible. Meaning you just set it up and you do things like, and I'll show you this a little bit later, but we will be able to, just take a picture of a receipt. Okay, you take a picture of that receipt and then you paste it and run it through. I'm going to use Gemini tonight. Two reasons for that. One, it's free. And most everything I try to share with you in this series is free or freemium. The one thing that's not is N8N. And that one, it's because N8N is, you need the cloud version unless you're going to self-host it. And if you know enough to self-host it, you're not going to be listening to me. All right. And that's why it's a really cool tool. And, but it costs you $20 a month. I haven't found any other that work this well, but I'm going to show you a couple things tonight. One is using Gemini to strip out or scrape or extract an N8N workflow. I'm going to show you how to create with Gemini a gem that will make it so you can just take a picture of your receipts. And every time you take a picture of your receipts, it will pull that information and you can then just paste it in to your Telegram. And now it will update your spreadsheet so you can be sharing. And basically, as a solo entrepreneur, you don't want to take that time to, okay, I did another expense today. I took a client to lunch. And so now I need to go home and input all that information. Well, you just take a picture and boom, it's there. Okay. And when we're also updating some of this information so that you can automatically work on your everything there. Yeah. So you can create agents to, and I'll show you an agent that I did later, that with my scrape video. I got the video from, or I got the scrape concept from Helena Lynn. She's a YouTuber and she does big training program, and it's quite expensive. And so, but what she did was said, let's just scrape. And so I'll show you that later. And then we'll also jump into how to use all of these tools to automate as much as possible. Now, when I say automate as much as possible, we want to automate the boring stuff, the laborious stuff, and then do the things that are most important, and that's building relationships. Yes, building content is important, or building your idea out if it's a platform, or it takes a lot of work. But even that, you really shouldn't be doing. You should, I shouldn't say should. You say you should do this, you should do that. You end up shooting all over yourself, according to Tony Robbins. But there are better uses of your time. And the more you can delegate, outsource, automate, the better you are, and the more likely you will be to succeed. And because at Founders Institute, we're here to make you, help you become a fundable company. Full stop. That's why we're here. That's what we're doing at Founders Institute. I just covered up my screen. Okay, hold on. And so keeping that in mind, George, you are in luck tonight. And what I'm going to show you is so much fun. And let's see, we got some chats over here. If you have any questions as we go through, George, you can share them. Okay. And we got some fireflies and stuff, and we got a hello from George. And I'm recording this session for a couple of reasons. One is I'm recording with Fathom because Fathom has a great breakdown. And in another session, I show how Fathom can be used to, and it's operations, where you just get a Fathom recording from the free Fathom account. You don't need the paid account. And you just take the transcript, which you can do, copy that transcript, and then paste it into an N8N automation or workflow, and it will summarize, extract action points. It will get 4 different operations metrics. So you can say, okay, how's my product? How's my delivery? How's my service? And then, is it right for my customer? And most important is, are my promotional materials misleading my customer? Okay, because we want that operations to be a very high referral coefficient, and the higher referral score you get, the more money you save, the better value you have for your clients. And that's what it's all about. Especially if you're building traction, you want to build and maintain that traction for your clients. So let's jump into it. Enough of what I'm going to talk about, and then jump into some of the things that I am going to talk about. All right. So let's see. I have in the past, I've been make sure everything was working really well, and then I realized that that's just like watching these YouTubers. They rehearse, they know exactly what to do and how to do it. And whenever I try to do it, it doesn't work. I'm taking a course on Udemy. I actually took a live face-to-face course last year on AI and automations and vibe coding. And when I'm there in the class doing exactly what the instructor says to do, it works. But as soon as I walk out of the class or do something that I want to do, not what the instructor had curated, it didn't work. I'm like, what's wrong? Right? I'm not that techie. I'm not afraid to try stuff, but if it doesn't work, I got to call somebody. And that is not okay for me, because we want to show you how to do some of these things that's not pre-scripted. Okay. So, and what we'll do is for another 49 minutes, I'll be doing this. If you have any questions there at the end at 8 o'clock, let me know. I know the session said go till 8:30, and that's just in case we have a whole bunch of questions, and because I like to under promise and over deliver. And when you run overtime, that is under delivery. So I'm going to share the screen right now. There's really 3 market forces that we're looking up to. Massive startups around the world. And it's like every day there's thousands. Right? And then there's another market force of economic. Funding is tighter than ever. Basically, why is that? Well, there are bazillions, billions and billions going into all this Silicon Valley AI stuff. That money has to come from somewhere. Right. And so those investors are reaching around the world to get that money. And so there it's going. So now it's tighter for you and I than it has been for a long time. Then the last thing is the technological market forces, as AI, and Founders Institute has created an AI platform. So when you're here, you will build your company with AI, right? That's serious, because we want you to spend your time building a strong enough company to succeed. Or put another way, at Founders Institute, we help you get funded. That's what our job is. See, there's a problem in that every day, as I mentioned, 137,000 startups are launched. But how many of them are successful? Very few. And why is that? Less than 5%? Well, founders like you and I have great ideas, but it's running the back end, running the business side that's the other stuff. And that's why in these workshops, we try to help you get excited and automate so that you can run them on your own. Okay, and so that's the business. Let's see, get rid of that. And so I want to share this one now. Okay, so if you've ever done work on N8N before, basically what it is workflows. Okay, that's not the one I want to show. Okay, so here is a receipt entry. What we do is show you in Gemini. What is I have created a gem in Gemini, and the reason I've created the gem is because we want, and it's a human in the loop. So something that we find is if you're creating an automation, you want to always have a human in the loop as you use it for the first, I say, 30 to 60 days. If you've been doing this for a long time and you're better at it, okay, go sooner. But 30 to 60 days, and until you you make sure that everything is running smoothly. So you take this and we have, a Starbucks. So today I was at Starbucks with my mentor group, okay? And so I took a picture of my receipt. Normally, this is something that I would wait till the end of the month and hate myself all day long at the end of the month. But while I was there talking, I took a picture and I got the date, what I had, no quantity, well, just the shot plus the free shot. Then how much I paid, Starbucks card, paid in full, name is Starbucks and his takeaway. Not that big a deal, but now it's there, okay? So then I paste this into Telegram, and I'm going to, you're not going to see the Telegram because I'm not able to show. Okay, so copy. I take the picture, I have this information, I put it in here, and so I'm going to execute. And so now it's running. So I executed. Boom, boom, boom. Oh. And I updated the column names because I was doing that. Anyway, so now I put, here, what we do is we go like this. All right, so fetching columns, yay. And then I execute and ta-da, there we go. So let's go look at my output. Okay, there you go. Here it is. And so we have a timestamp, which is my my ID. Then we have the client name, which wasn't there because I don't have a specific name. Category wasn't there, so that's something T&E, travel and entertainment. Okay, but it's got all this information that now is, and later we'll show you how we want to set it up to where it is going to my my general ledger, which is also hooked up to my tracker, my profit and loss. So these are all things that we set up to be automatic. Okay, and the same with the invoice. With an invoice, I can just upload an invoice from, say, I'll show you how to do that a little bit. Okay. I don't need two of those. Okay, so that is a workflow. Okay, back to Canvas. So now I have this workflow that as soon as I'm done eating, all right, as soon as I spend any money, I get an invoice or a receipt, take a picture, boom, there it goes. It's already in, it's already going to my general ledger and my workflow automatically, okay? So in this, how much time would that save? A lot. Okay, I'll go with a lot. All right, but now, so then, so here's my balance. So this is a daily activity report that I got from my bank. Okay, so this is this is fake, but so but what do I do? Let's say I'm going to I see a YouTube video, and in my YouTube video, and I can share this with you. Restricted, and the link is a viewer. Let me put this in here. Okay, I put this in the meeting chat, George. So what it is it will analyze the video. It'll identify and extract the N8N workflow. Okay, I've changed it to use mostly Google Gemini Sheets as a data lake. You know, if they talk about data, you know, final notice instead of stack, we'll just format N8N LinkedIn. There's a newsletter instead of a beehive, because that's what we wanted to do. But the main thing is, it will now create that N8N workflow, right? And so we do that in here. Wait. There we go. So, and here it is. So then I say, put in this YouTube video. This YouTube video is basically saying, you take your bank statement, okay, and this will take longer than what time we have, so I'm just introducing it. And now it will take the bank statement, it will pull out the information and put it into the workflow that you want. Oh, good, you're in there. Okay, so now what do I do with it? Okay, so here it is. I get all this information, ooh ah, and then I put it into like PO. Where is PO? Okay, and 3.6. So then I copy and pasted this information into PO, and I tell it to create an N8N workflow. Okay, so let's see. So here I pasted that information in, and okay, so create. I-J-S-O-N. Okay, so now it's creating that workflow for me. And I forgot to ask it to do the one thing that I like to do. That is give me a version number in the title. Okay, so basically it's going to it's watched the video. It came up with the prompt and the contents, right? Going straight to Claude from the video, I found too many errors. But using Gemini Pro 3, it works like a charm. Okay? And so let's see. Get that job. So now it's doing its thing. We'll give it a minute. And as it does its thing, it's pulling out the information. And so if you use this, just make a copy or save a copy. You can change some of these properties down here. Like I say, make sure it's format and importable JSON. Okay. Then use the authentications. Yes, English is my first language. For required credentials output, to complete the JSON workflow. And normally what I would do is I have my authentications down here. But since I'm showing it to you, I took those out today. I hope you don't mind. And so we're not quite finished yet. The Google Sheet ID. So normally it would just fill in the Google Sheet ID, and I would actually have it there. Okay. So now process code. So it's still going through there. And so what I also wanted to show you is this. I don't know why it's still giving me the error. And what this is I'm going to click to center it. And this is daily. It's going to basically run this. So basically, daily it's going to check my invoices, check my receipts. It's going to update my general ledger every day, and then the monthly or annually, it's going to check my income and expenses depending on my budget. So, and this is huge because now it's all done for you. And basically, all you want to do is when you create an invoice, okay? And so this is my sync log that tells me here's some clients, and here is an invoice. So I don't have that many clients, so I don't really need you know, a big CRM, and most of the CRMs for startup founders end up sucking a lot of money and time. I don't know if you ever use HubSpot. You know, the HubSpot looks like a great thing, but I haven't figured out how to use it. You know, it's so big and cumbersome that because being a solo entrepreneur, and then I ask all my mentor friends, and they haven't used it. So this is something that we want to keep in mind, because if you are a solo or a small entrepreneur, you don't know how to do these things. Just like learning how to use Slack or Notion. If you work in an office with Notion, everyone knows how to use it. You just, hey, why isn't this work? What's wrong with that? And so they're easier. But if small startups, unless they've worked with them in previous places, they just don't work. So, but this is my invoice tracker, and then the sync log is for every day. When I sync, then it will, anytime I add a new sheet, it's set up to give me, and this is my invoice number, invoice. So it will do a new invoice, and obviously this isn't my real data because we don't need that on the recording. So now let's see, where are we? Are we done? Okay, good. So here we go. Now I just copy this. Now I'm going to come over here, do a new workflow, create my personal, and then I paste. I just Control V, and now it has created that workflow from the video. Okay? And what it does is I'm going to input a PDF or a sheet, and this one's a PDF. So you get a PDF, any kind of PDF invoice. It's going to say, is it a PDF? And if not, then upload PDF, extract the information, take what we need from the information, and then put it into a spreadsheet. Okay, in this spreadsheet, it's saying choose an account. So now I've chosen an account, and this has been doing this all day long. And so it will give me a list. And so I say finance master, and invoice tracker, and then the sync log. Okay, so then now it's done that. Oh, here, go back. So now there we go. I'm gonna say if it's more than 10,000, meaning it's a big contract, that's gonna send it up here, and then it's gonna notify me in Telegram. All right. Then it's going to do a final status, and if why it's doing LinkedIn newsletter, don't know. All right, so I will get rid of that, and get rid of that, and this, and this. All right. So basically, it sends it to a PDF, and it will send me a notification. It'll put it into Drive, and then it'll send me a notification. And if it's less than 10,000, it'll put it into Drive and send me a different notification. Okay. And this one we want to do the batch notifications, just like once a day. If it's a huge invoice, I need to know about it sooner or later. Okay? And then if we have an error, it will just come down here, and yeah, and it will actually run on its own. But yeah, that's pretty much it, and that's how. But what? Where did I get that? I just watched a video and said, "Run this." Okay? And is it going to run the first time? No, because I need to set up my Google Drive account. It's going to upload, and it's going to give me an invoice, the run date, right? And drive. It's going to parent drive folder. It said root, but I obviously probably want to change that and search. Let's see. I have AI agents. Yeah, AI agents. Okay. Ta-da. So I'll put it there. Where are we? Yeah. Since the root and AI agents. Right. So now, so now it knows to put it there. And so it's going to just upload that invoice. Okay. Then here it's going to, basically it's going to pull out information into metadata and put it and parse it so that it will go into the Google Sheets like I want. Okay. And right here, it's going to go into that sync log. So now, boom. Actually, I probably need to update the sync log because this is the data sheets that we're using. And then if there's the question, is it greater than 10,000? Then it's going to go true, right? Or standard, right? And that's all of this is happening in a few seconds, okay? Now, if you're wondering why I'm not going to run this, because A, you're going to see all my Google data stuff, and B, you probably have each step along the way. Like this one doesn't matter because it's my invoice data. Yeah, and this is Gemini 3. Okay, and then so each step along the way, then you got to try to run it and make sure it works. And so that part gets laborious. On YouTube, when you see those guys running something like this, they just say, "Oh, we'll do this, and then do this, and then do this." Okay, and then you get this little error, and you got to go do that. And it's like, wow. When I try it, what happened? Why isn't this working for me? And that's because they've curated, they've rehearsed, they've done all of these things to make sure it runs smooth and they look cool. But that's not real life when you're doing this stuff. And frankly, anyone who says that, and argue with me if you want to, that this is no code is lying to themselves. They say it's no code, but in there you need to know the process. You need to know, in some of these true false parsing, that looks like code to me. In fact, it is. It's JavaScript. That's code. Okay. Granted, I just went into Poe, and basically I'm using Claude Opus 4.5 because it's the best, at coding. Right. But this will chase problems all day long. It will, but because it doesn't know not to. Like I was doing earlier with this one, I said, do this. Basically, you're going to read the sync log. Okay, when was the last time you did? Pull out the new tabs. Okay, info. It's going to parse it, and then no new invoices. Then we don't need it. But if it is a new invoice, it's now going to read the invoice, get the content, add it to my append invoices. That's this. No, not that. Sorry. It's going to add it to my invoices, okay, or receipt invoices. Then here's all the information, and obviously that's test data because it's 2013, a while ago. Okay. But anyway, so but then it does all of these steps for you. And then, okay, then it also updates the general ledger, and then it also updates the sync log to say the last time we ran it was this date, and we only want the new ones. Okay, here's a sample, like I said, it was doing. And then right here, I have all my clients so that I can just use this drop down. And so if I switch clients, it changes the address and email address for me automatic. So that's why this is so powerful. And this is just a Google Sheets thing, right? It ain't rocket science. Okay. And then so here, this is just my notes for what we're doing here. All right. Now, again, this is that prompt that you saw, the Google Sheet or Google Doc. Okay. And I've got some special stuff in here down at the bottom saying, okay, Sheets is data lake. That's why it says data lake. Because often when you, let me show you something. I can't wait to show you this. All right, so here in N8N, right, it's new, that help inside templates. All right, wait for it, wait for it. Here, you've got 7,200 workflow automations. Okay, but so let's click on that sales. I have a client who wants to do sales. Now it's 921 sales automations. So you can look through these on CRM, and many of the ones, there are some that are free and some that are paid. Okay, sales and marketing. And so as much as possible, I try to automate with only Google stuff. Yes, I'm in Hong Kong, and that maybe someday, after 50 years after the handover, I won't be able to use Google. But until that day comes along, I like it, and that's because everything's all on the same account. You go into Google, you create credentials for Google Sheets, Google Drive, and everything else, and it all works like Google VO3. Anyway, the ones that are free often have some kind of, they're done by these companies. Dumpling AI. Okay. This one, I'll show you, is free. What this workflow does. So often they're made by a company like Dumpling AI, okay, or Longchain. And they made it, they're giving it away for free, so you will have to use their service. And so, but what I do is I come in here and say, okay, do I want to use this? Generate, add image variations. Okay. But why not just use Nano Banana 3, right? And if you've got the account that does that, then, so that language chain, will it show me this? Yeah, so here, yeah, so I can't, okay, I can't. So brand name, and then brand voice, okay. That didn't work. There we go. So basically, yeah, it won't let me. Oh, I can do it here. Okay. Brand name. So now this is the previous nodes. These are the variables. Okay. But here I can just copy all this all the way down, and then I would replace the variables. Okay. But then now you can see how it runs. But the one thing I like to do is I go in and I see how it works, and do I want to use it? Then say, okay, use for free, click on yes. But instead of using theirs, I go into Gemini, or actually Claude, and say, replace the, what was it? Replace the Domino AI or the Lang chain okay, agent, because I don't want to use those. Can I use a Google alternative? And most of the time you can. Right now, if you're a large company, you're scaling, you probably want to use a data lake, right? You want to use a Vortex database or a Pinecone. But if not, I mean, the free accounts work. And so as much as possible, you want to use those free accounts because then you save a little bit here, a little bit there. Most of the time, when a small business goes out of business, it's the little things. There's a little drip, drip, drip. Okay, a little bit of money here, drip, drip, drip. A little bit of money there, drip, drip, drip. And the next thing you know, you're almost out of business. And all it was is those drip, drip, drip. And so one of the things that we teach you at Founders Institute is consolidate as much as possible. Because even if you're doing well, you got traction, but in your books, you see a lot of leakage, right? Investors are going to look at that. We help you create what we call a data room where you've got you're transparent with all of your financials. But what investors do is they look in there and they say, where are they leaking? Where are they, where's their slippage and finances? Where are they spending too much money? Where are they not really being careful? Because if they can see that you're not really taking care of, you have a lot of these little bitty expenses. You shouldn't say little bitty, they add up fast, then Dumpling AI. So if I use Dumpling AI, that's going to cost, right? Right now I have Nano Banana 3 with my business account for free, right? And so why not? Why use the Dumpling when I can do that? But the reason it's free here in this, this template library is because Dumpling created it. And they want you to use it. Okay, no offense, but this means that, so like, here's one, Facebook ads and send insights to NicoDB. So they may have done it, and I don't know for sure. But I noticed there's a lot of paid ones that are really good, right? That you pay $15, $10, $5. And then there's a lot of free ones, but there's a very high incidence of, well, now to use it, you need to, Reddit, that's pretty cool. Add and use like this, HTTP requests, use something like Crunchbase and find out that the person who published it actually works at Crunchbase. Not good, not bad. I mean, but here, like this one, automate SEO analysis for multiple domains with Ahrefs in Google Sheets. This is probably pretty cool, right? So, but you have to buy it for $10. But the good thing about it is it's not going to really push you unless you, don't have an Ahrefs account. Right? But just trying to help with those things. So my tip is go through these. I mean, there's 7,000 of them. When I started using N8N last summer, there was like 5,000, right? So every day they're getting this great TikTok influencer profiles with Bright Data API. So Bright Data, hey, this sounds like a Bright Data. You need to use Bright Data, right? And N8N. This happens a lot. Bright Data integration, yeah. So then you have to pay. So, but this is something like Bright Data. It can be a lot, $60, $70, $90 to scrape something like TikTok or LinkedIn. And if you can do, the more you can do without having to spend that extra $60 or $90, then you can use those. Okay, so hey, we got someone coming in, yay! But we're almost done. Oh, I'm not going to say your name because I'm going to get it wrong. But anyway, so that's my free, easy tip, okay, probably paid for the whole thing, but we're just about to wrap it up. But so let me review here a little bit. Okay, so this is the sheet, and it's, let me copy the link. I'll put the sheet in the LinkedIn. But definitely, you want to join the WhatsApp group. Let me get that info for you again. Here we go. And here we go. Fund Institute. So, connect with me. If I don't have any more, be patient, because if I don't have any more, I have, they limit us to 30,000 connections in LinkedIn, and I'm up there, right? So, but yeah, this is there. There's 3 people in there. There's only a couple in thing. Okay, but connect with me, and let's see. I should have this. Yeah. Copy. Right. So connect with me, and here. But this one is the WhatsApp, and that puts you into the WhatsApp group. No spamming. If you start spamming, then you're out. But if you do have offers, once a week, like I do in many of my groups, I'll post something once a week and say, hey, this is coming up, or that's coming up. And for those of you who are here and you haven't done much automation, or you're just getting, what is this AI thing? How can I use it to make my company bulletproof? What can I do to, like, one client of mine is looking at, revamping his whole marketing strategy, to where it's everything's automated, and they're reaching out, but more focused on relationships than volume. So, because now with AI, there's so much volume of content that's just slop out there, that it's and who pays for that? The consumer. Now, instead of having 100 messages a day, I'm getting 1,000, and I still, and I'm not spending much time reading or looking at all that information. So we're focusing for him to get onto just, building those relationships, because now with AI, that's all we're going to have. And with those relationships, making it so that you as a company build relationships, and those relationships get you more business, because it is such a good relationship. That's where business is going, right? And that's one of the automations. Another automation is to make it so when my client is out of town, because he travels a lot, we set up automations to make it so he is answering questions. We haven't gotten to the digital avatar yet. What we have gotten to is a chat-based group, or a chat-based autoresponder, basically. And it's, instead of frequently asked questions, because a frequently asked questions page, and especially if that, or a docs, is rude. I mean, face it, I don't know if I don't mean to offend someone with your company, but if you are giving someone, oh yeah, if you have a question, just go to our docs page and search for it, you're wasting your time, right? But if you can say, okay, ask our chat-based chat your question, and we have past questions, we have frequently asked questions. The most important is we're always updating this, and we are making it so that you can get your answer quickly by asking one question, maybe 2 questions. So instead of saying, oh, that's a good question, go to our docs or go to our FAQ. And now you're telling the client that she or he needs to spend an hour. And when, because they don't know what to ask correctly. But because of AI, you can do this. And it's fast, it's easy. So this is one of the things that you're going to be looking at, or that we're going to be looking at in the future, because in the future, let me tell you, in 2 weeks, let's see, in 2 weeks, yeah, well, actually, on the 16th of December, 16th, woohoo, we will have another workshop, and we're going to be looking at market research and competitive intelligence, but automated, where every day or every week, depending on your need, you will have your agent go out and search your biggest competitors. What are they doing? What have they posted? What's been written about them? What's in Reddit or what's been posted in LinkedIn? And what this does for you is it can help you stay competitive and without spending the hours and hours and hours researching. It keeps you up to date on what's going on. And my personal belief is, in business, if you're focusing on your customer, then you are not focusing on, that's supposed to be published. If you're focusing on your customer, you're not, or your competitor, you're not focusing on your customer. And that is trouble. Okay, so you need to be spending the time focusing on what's most important, and that's the customer. And yeah, you need to keep your competitor involved and see what they're doing, because they can give you some clues about where the market is going, but it's only a small part of it. You need to be able to do much more, and that's important. Okay, so again, I've given you, let's go to kind of a wrap up, the invoice, the scrape, right? The extracting information, right? Then we have our invoice, where this is, something you're manually doing when you're creating an invoice for a new customer. We can set this up with a Google form, right? Or an N8N form, right? Then, we have, this is a balance where we can, basically, that's what this new one, no, not that one, this one, it will go through and import content, okay? Then we have our invoices, receipts, our general ledger that's automated now. By taking a picture of a receipt, you get that it's updated, okay? And then we also have this is your receipt entry, okay? And we have, let's see, the AI extraction, and then your workflows. Those are the templates. Remember, I gave you that tip there with those templates. That is your key thing. Get the free ones, but often those free ones make you use their tool, right? That's why it's free. But just go into Gemini or GPT or whatever. And again, right now, Gemini 3 Pro is the rock and roll player. So and Nano Banana 3 is the rock and roll visualizer. I mean, they are rock and roll. So get out there and try those out, use them, okay? But don't be afraid, and reach out to me, okay? Because I just put that information in there, and so this is, analyze PDFs with N8N, right? And so basically it's looking at a PDF, and it's going to say, give me information, save it for me. And here's the last one, is the Founders Institute. And we're right at 8 o'clock. Like I said at the beginning, make sure you're out of here on time. If any of you have any questions, you can hang around and chat with me. George, if you're really interested, you can go ahead and, there's something, and there. for financial matters. I have not been. I do use Notebook LM for a couple different things. One, when I'm researching, teaching a new course, that's one. Two, I've started using it as an organizer for Gemini. So Gemini, I've got, usually showing all of these, my chats, and it's just not good. But we want to put, and I will create a notebook for things like onboarding, or marketing automation, things like that. That's where I'm using Notebook LM. I haven't used it much for financial, just because it isn't known for visualizing and automating things like what we're showing you here. Now, that's not to say it won't in the future, because the power of all of these is, I can take this and I can start to visualize it. Okay, I can put this and and then add a chart, compare it to a table, and pre-built tables, drop down, all that stuff. And now I've got that data visualization, but it's also in Google Sheets. So it's a good question. And trust me, I really like Notebook LM, especially because, if I'm going to, like yesterday, I was going to meet with and negotiate with the client. I put all of the information into Notebook LM that I had about the client and what we were going to talk about. Then I had to create that the podcast, that little audio conversation, and I just played that over and over. And by the time I walked into that negotiation, I had been negotiating, for the last couple of hours, listening to that. And that was huge, because I could tell I'm answering these questions. I know that they're coming. So that was a pretty good one. Okay. Yeah. It can help in the same way to design. Only depends on the sources you loaded it. Yeah. And that's good. Especially, there are times when I teach Sunday school, and that's important to get the right sources, right? Especially for youth, because that's my Sunday school class. And so that's really important to make sure that they get the right information. But it's very contained. It's not just anything from the internet. And so, again, when you mention the sources you've loaded into it, that's huge, because those make the difference. Okay, so now, George, did you join that WhatsApp group? Because if you did, that's great, because I keep you up, and I will be pasting. I don't know if you can see it, but in the sitting right next to me, it's on my that side. Okay, over there next to my window is my AI. That's my Fathom note taker. I will paste that into yours, and so you can see it. Go do it there. Yeah, but join that WhatsApp group, because that one will keep you involved. And doing the Google form gets you the link to the materials right away. But usually I put that's in the WhatsApp group anyway. So just so long as we can keep you in contact. If you have any questions, send me a WhatsApp. You've got my WhatsApp, you've got my email, you've got my LinkedIn, and I hope to see you again in a future event, or in the future. So anyway, take care. Thanks a lot for staying, George, and we'll see you later. Okay. All right. Bye now.